Well, welcome everybody to another edition of the internationally syndicated Last Christian Radio Show. I'm J.D. Williams here in Texas, and that's Mr. David Paxton out there in New York City. And David, the Rapture's coming.
Oh, tell me about it. It's like some more stuff going on today, and I was talking to my wife, and I'm like, why isn't he here yet?
Yeah, well, you know.
And he told me about Methuselah. And so as everybody knows, Methuselah means his death shall bring it, in regard to the destruction, because that was Enoch's son, and Enoch got the vision of the flood that was coming. And then it was 969 years later, then 7 days ahead of that, that's when Methuselah died, and then the ark came. And but he was the longest recorded life in the Bible. And we were talking about that today. It's like God in his mercy is allowing more time. So even though we see everything's here, he's really giving people a good amount of time. And that's what a just God does anyway, because you can't go up and say, well, you didn't give me enough time.
Right. Exactly. Mm-hmm. You got your whole life, and there have been lots of generations before us. But the thing is, we're it. I got people assaulting us on YouTube, saying, why are you teaching stuff, that's not biblical? Point it out to me. I even had to block a guy because he just kept going and kept going and kept going and kept going. Saying, okay, get your own show. If you think your theology is that good, get your own show. I
had one guy, I just blocked him yesterday, and that's all he would do is watch every single video and just hammer it. And you did this one, you did this one. Then you watch his, and he's like, and he's looked like, this guy, like he was on meth in his young age, and now he's just old, and he's got the results of it. Yeah. Anyway,
well, so I try to be fair. I really do. I try to be fair with everybody, and I try to listen to their point of view and all that stuff. But when they say that you're breaking theology, when they say that we're not teaching the Bible correctly, then I know they're a fake. I know right then that all they're there for is to agitate, and God's got a nice little forever home for them.
Yeah. Which is why I'm in this spongy thing right here.
All right.
Because the destruction's coming, and anything starts to fall, I got my cushion.
Yeah. Well, now, as I said, the title screen today is Israel Prepares for War with Hezbollah. It's coming. It's going to happen. My question, Mr. Paxton, is this Psalm 83 or is this Gog Magog?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
We know they're both coming, but as I always say, prophecy is not prognostication.
Yep.
And all too often, prophecy teachers, I am one, and I make an effort not to do this. We're not fortune tellers.
Right.
We're not here saying, okay, this is going to happen here, that's going to happen here. The Bible is clear. I'm going to show you all this stuff, and then you're not going to have any idea what's going on except maybe a faint hint. Then the day after it happens, you're going to see, that's what he meant.
That was it. Yeah. I agree with that. I agree with that 100% because I'm not sure which one it is either. I mean,
we'll know when it's done.
Yeah. I do know that Hezbollah is going to do this. They are going, and we've got some reports coming up on it in today's show. Again, I'll be reporting this as a member of the U.S. Press Association, and there's a bunch of stuff out there right now that you guys need to pay attention to that the mainstream media is never going to tell you. Okay? So I'm going to start with something local, and by local I mean the United States, and then we'll kind of move toward Israel. Let's listen to this one first.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks. Today, the upcoming treason trial in Russia of Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich. It is due to begin on Wednesday in the city of Yekaterinburg, where the journalist was arrested nearly 15 months ago. Miriam Elder is with America's Council on Foreign Relations.
The state is accusing Evan of espionage, a charge that he, the Wall Street Journal, and the U.S. government vehemently deny. And most cases involving national security are held in secret, so no journalists will be allowed in the courtroom. And the State Department said this week that they'll try to have embassy officials inside, but they're not sure if that'll be allowed. More than 99% of Russian court cases end in conviction. The judge on this trial once told an interviewer that he's only ever acquitted 3 or 4 people in his 20-plus year career. So since for most trials in Russia, you can fairly confidently expect a guilty verdict, a lot of attention is put on sentencing. Evan faces up to 20 years in prison. There is counterintuitively a window of optimism here, though. In those cases where Russia engages in prisoner swaps or releases people early, it tends to do so after a verdict has been handed down, so that Evan's case is moving ahead could give some hope that some sort of a swap might be possible.
Since his arrest, Evan Gershkovich has been held in Lefortovo prison, a Tsarist-era jail in Moscow, known for its Spartan conditions and the isolation in which inmates are held. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
So they want to find this guy guilty, and that increases the importance on him, I guess. You know, if he's sentenced to 50 years and hard labor in Russia, then everybody's going to have a fit, and then they're going to say, okay, Biden, what are you going to do? And he's going to say, okay, well, I'm going to release 10 of their prisoners that really did something, and we'll get our journalists back. Okay, that's usually how it goes.
Pretty much guarantee that that's the only reason Russia's doing this, that they didn't find anything on them, they just need a pawn.
Right. They've done this for decades. This isn't anything new at all. Now, another...
if you're on their side, you can't really blame them.
No, they always get their way. They always get their way, yeah. I mean, we're always a day late and a dollar short. Now, another thing that's going on right now is terrorism in Pakistan. And they're blaming Afghanistan. So one of the stands is lying and the other one's crazy. I don't know. I don't know how to say it. But anyway, let's listen to this because it involves China, and that's the important thing. Here we go.
Pakistan says it has launched a nationwide counter-terrorism operation. Islamabad has seen a resurgence in terror attacks since 2023, particularly in the country's western provinces bordering Afghanistan. Hira Mustafa has more.
Pakistan's government, along with provincial ministers and military leaders, held a national security meeting over the weekend declaring they are launching Operation Azm-e-Istikam, which means commitment to stability. Its aim will be to crack down on militant groups operating in the country's western provinces by using political and diplomatic efforts to eliminate terrorist hideouts with help from neighboring countries. This comes after China urged Islamabad to act against militant groups that have been routinely targeting Chinese nationals and workers in the country. Pakistan has witnessed a surge in militant attacks in provinces that share a border with Afghanistan. Pakistan's government claims Kabul is a safe haven for terrorists, a charge Afghanistan has denied. Hira Mustafa, Islamabad.
So you see, both sides are guilty, in my opinion. I don't think either government is worth a flip. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. Do you have a different opinion than that, David?
No, it's like, Godzilla versus Mothra. They're both evil.
Yeah.
You really care who wins?
Not at all. Okay. Now, this one, David, is a little bit, we're getting closer and closer to Israel here. Okay. The Houthis are probably the smallest terrorist group over there that has a shot at Israel. They're not very organized. They're small, but boy, can they agitate. I guess that's the best way to say it. So
they're like
anyway,
the little foxes that it says in the Bible.
Let's listen to this one.
Yemen's Houthi rebels targeted a ship in the Gulf of Aden as the Eisenhower aircraft carrier heads home.
The Houthi attack follows the sinking of the ship Tutor this week, signaling a potential escalation by the Iranian-backed Houthis in their campaign of strikes on ships in the vital maritime corridor amid the Israel-Hamas war in the Gaza Strip. Joseph Eckerson reporting.
All right, that's it. They spend a lot of time on it, obviously, because it's a really small group again. But they can do some major damage, and I believe their attacks are taking place almost 100% in the Red Sea, and that's a pretty vital area, right?
Yeah, I mean, all they need is for one to put a little hole in the bottom of a boat, and there goes the whole boat.
Yeah, and you notice that they waited until our aircraft carrier was leaving before they did this, so... who else is going to take care of them? I mean, Israel's not going to mess with them. They don't have any reason to. I mean, it's a small adjutant group that they could take care of in 10 minutes probably if they wanted to. Mm-hmm. They're not really worried about them. They're worried about what's going on in Gaza, and they're also worried about this upcoming war with Hezbollah. Israel's bracing for it. Don't think they're not. They know this attack is coming. As a matter of fact, Benjamin Netanyahu calls it the war between wars. That's what he calls it. So we'll see how it all works out. I want to play this one because this one leads us into the whole rest of the show. Okay, and this is again with Hamas.
An Israeli airstrike has killed a senior Gaza health official, the head of Gaza's ambulance and emergency department, Hani al-Jafrari, bringing the total number of health staff killed by Israel since October 7th to 500, according to Gaza's health ministry. The Israeli military said the strike killed a senior Hamas commander.
Yeah, they killed a senior Hamas commander, and so because they did that, now all of a sudden they've killed 500 medical workers, according to Hamas. Okay? Well, Hamas is wrong. Okay, Hamas is trying to show people that they're not terrorists, and they do that by using terrorism.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
They do that and then hiding behind women and children.
Yeah, and they're accusing Israel of doing that, hiding behind human shields. I've never seen Israel do that in a single time ever.
Never. So it makes it easy. I mean, it's the same tactic the devil uses. If someone is attacking you for stuff like that, you can tell exactly what they're doing because they're blaming you for it.
Yeah.
And this is what they're doing, so that's what they're going to put on you because that's the only thing that's in their head. That's all they know. Oh, I know you are, but what am I? They don't have enough brains to come up with something new that you couldn't possibly do to blame you of, so they just blame you for what they're doing. Yeah. I think that's called projection.
Well, and we got a bunch of that going on in the United States of America right now, too.
Yeah, you can tell me about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty much worldwide. I think everything that's going on right now is happening in every country. And that's what people need to pay attention to, is that used to there was a good guy and a bad guy in the world. Mm-hmm. And now there's nothing but a bunch of bad guys.
The bad guy and a better guy.
I mean, that's really, and I'm not trying to bash the United States of America. I love the United States of America. But the United States of America is going down the wrong road. They're doing the wrong thing all the time. Go ahead, David. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's the government. It's what they got in there. They weasel their way into power. Mm-hmm. Like here we got AOC, who was a bartender.
Yeah.
She gets a job worth, I think the job pays a little over $100,000. And all of a sudden, she's worth $29 million.
Right.
Where did that come from?
Well, now I'm not sure if the guy is up there in New York or not. Bowman is his name. Is he a representative in New York?
Yeah, I don't know what part though. Not around here.
Yeah. Anyway, he went on a F-bomb filled tirade over the weekend. Because he's running behind. He had AOC and he had Bernie Sanders as part of his deal. And he was blaming Israel for everything. Just everything.
He's losing because of Israel.
But at the same time, he says, oh, well, if they're going to attack me, what am I supposed to do? I've got to defend myself. So he contradicts his own argument against Israel by using himself. Now, that is called being the king of stupidity, in my opinion. What do you think?
Yep. Let the sideshow begin. Hurry. Step right on in. It's a clown show here.
Yeah. I mean, and, he appeared with a T-shirt on, and he was, I think, waving a chair as he was going in his, when I say it was a F-bomb laced tirade, I mean it was. They had to beep him about every 15 seconds. Just to show excerpts of his speech. Okay, it was crazy. But AOC loved it. She was clapping her hands and jumping up and down.
Oh yeah, she's getting all that too because that's what they pay her to do. Hey, can you act like an idiot on TV and then represent us? Oh yeah. Well, here's a lot of money. Say
All
this. Right. Okay, what does it mean? Don't worry about it. Just say it.
All right, now listen to this one, David. This is from the Jerusalem Post. Okay, Hamas leadership is planning to relocate from Qatar to Iraq.
Isn't that Qatar?
Yeah, Qatar. I don't know how to say it. They change it all the time.
Yeah,
but
it's next to Grufunkistan.
But now they're talking about moving to Iraq. I thought we settled Iraq. I thought we, all of our American money and might went in there and we made them a democracy and all this kind of crap. Well, obviously not. If Hamas is going to go there and they want them, come on now. Let's be real. What do you think? I'm going to read some of this, but go ahead and tell me what your initial thought is.
Yeah, I mean, do we expect the devil not to lie? They're going to lie. It's as simple as that. So all the stuff that we've done for them, what they're going to do is turn around all the good things we did for them and use as an excuse to attack us. Oh, you're trying to fill us with your Western philosophy or whatever,
Well, it just says here that the Iraqi government approved this move last month. And let's see, Hamas's decision to relocate to Iraq follows weeks of pressure from Qatar to accept U.S. ceasefire proposals, which include an exchange of hostages and Palestinian detainees with Israel. So, I don't know. It looks like maybe Qatar is afraid that we're going to come after them, because I've never seen them. I've never seen them criticize Hamas before. Now they're saying, "Get out." Really? Something.
Yeah. Well, I think Israel is going to come down on them, and they're teeny weeny. They're like, "We don't want your mess in our yard."
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of it's kind of scary, when you think about it. I mean, Iraq, we went to war with them twice, right? And or had soldiers on the ground. I shouldn't say war. We hadn't had a declared war since World War II. But and people say, "But Vietnam." No, Vietnam was not declared. Korea. No, Korea was not declared.
We just did it. It wasn't declared.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. Now here's another one. They said that the officials here have faced expulsion from Qatar and punitive measures, including asset freezes. That's what scared them right there. Asset freezes. If they do not negotiate flexibility. In other words, if you don't listen, if you don't do what we tell you to, we're going to tell you to get out. And Iraq said, "Fine, come on, come over to us. We'll welcome you with open arms." This makes me mad because of all the people that we lost, all the money that we spent and all that, and for Iraq to turn around and allow a terrorist organization to set up.
I wouldn't be surprised, because they're one of their creeds in their Quran is, if we run out of infidels to fight, we'll fight each other, because they're brawlers. Word clearly says Ishmael, he'll be a brawler.
Yeah.
So here they are. They're all being brawlers like they were prophesied to be. Now, individually, they could be saved, which is true. And we pray for individual Muslims. But they're just going to fight each other. Okay, so I suspect that Iraq is probably going to be, yeah, come on in. And then when they get in there, they're going to freeze their assets and keep them.
Yeah, probably.
Kick them out.
Yeah, probably.
And then what are they going to do? Fight against them?
Well,
Qatar is easy, but Iraq's a little bigger.
Hamas is now a really beat down organization. They severely miscalculated what was going to happen when they went into Israel. I don't know what they were thinking, but this is not working out the way that they wanted it to. I can guarantee you that. And I just saw a report right before we started the show that Benjamin Netanyahu says we're winding down in Gaza. And, they're thinking maybe 2 more weeks. Now, that's the initial report. That's the initial report. That could change and probably will. But honestly, I think he's saying that because I think they're gearing up for Hezbollah. I really do. Because the number of missiles that are being fired at Israel is going up every day now from Hezbollah.
Mhm.
And here's the other part to it. Israel asked their citizens to withdraw from the northern part of Israel because they were afraid of what Hezbollah was doing to them. Now, this was weeks ago. So they basically have evacuated the north of Israel, and the border has been reset. So you've actually got Hezbollah inside Israel taking over parts of Israel that the Israelis left behind at the beginning of the Hamas conflict. So now Netanyahu's saying, no, we have got to have our borders where, he believes in borders. He believes that a country needs them. Mm-hmm. So he wants to go in there and clean them out. Now, the last time they tried this, they failed. Okay, pure and simple. They just failed to beat Hezbollah back. But, that's when their citizens were in place and all that. There's no Israelis there now. They can pound away however they want to. So I'm thinking that might be the catalyst, David, for Hezbollah to really come after them with all they got. What are your impressions?
Yeah, and then there goes Damascus.
We're going to get there. I got it. Yeah, we're going to get there.
It's on the list.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and this is reminiscent of I'll draw you in. I'll put a hook in your jaw and draw you in, and it just smacks of the same prophecies we've been talking about for years. Hey, there's going to be something that is going to force them to come down. Because why? Otherwise, why? I mean, it's tiny. It's like this big compared to that big. Why? Well, why are you there? And it's because of the spiritual aspect. They have no idea why. They have no idea why they hate just a certain people because of their, nationality. Oh, that was, my brother's family, so I just hate them. Why? You got all the land, you got all the oil, you got all the money. Why?
Yeah.
Because they're of their father, the devil. And the devil wants to have control of this time-space continuum. So if he can disrupt the prophecy that Israel will repent and receive their Messiah, then he feels he's won the game, and then he doesn't have to go into the pit for 1,000 years and in the lake of fire. So he thinks he's going to come out and destroy Israel so the prophecies can't come true. And ironically, that is part of the prophecy, is that this is what he'll do. But here we are. We're seeing that it's happening right in front of us.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it is. For those of us that have accepted Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, we're not worried about it. I'm gonna watch most of this from wherever Jesus has got me. To protect
I wonder,
me.
we're at the wedding. Is he going to have TVs up all around so we're eating and talking and oh, hey, look! There goes the mountain. Hey, look at that! Oh, wait, the stars are falling. Hey, guys, look!
Yeah.
I wonder, right?
I've kind of wondered about that too. Do we actually see it? I don't know. I mean, the Bible doesn't tell me, so I don't know.
I think it's TVs. Maybe in heaven they're holographic big projections. That'd be cool.
That'd be cool too. Yeah. But what gets me there, David, is they said that somewhere in the Bible. Correct me if I'm wrong, because you're the Bible scholar, not me. But somewhere in the Bible, I think it says something about how you all the things that have passed away, you're not going to remember it or whatever.
It says he'll wipe away every tear.
Right.
So there's speculation on that, because wipe away every tear, does that mean you'll never have tears again?
Yeah.
And because he's wiped them all away? Or does that mean that we're going to fully understand the things that are happened, and then we're not going to be stressed about it anymore? I lost a loved one, and I don't think they were saved. As horrible as it is for us now, we'll understand then. So some people think along those lines, we'll just understand it so it won't affect us emotionally like that.
Okay.
And then some people think, no, it's going to erase our memory completely, so we won't even remember it. So,
right. That was what I was thinking. Okay. And kind of what I've been taught, I guess, over time. But what you put in there is a very interesting perspective, because I I hadn't thought about that as a possibility before, but it makes sense, because I don't know how else. I mean, how other would you not remember? Like for instance, I got 5 kids.
Yeah, I kind of lean towards that one. It's like you will remember, but you'll understand fully, so it won't affect you emotionally in that way.
Yeah, because I got 5 kids, okay? And I know that there's one that's kind of, well, maybe 2 even, that is kind of like, I'm not so sure.
They're probably the ones that will be saved.
Maybe. I hope so. I really do. But,
like Paul, I'm the chief of sinners. Oh, good. There's hope for me.
I just have always wondered, well, how would you not remember your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your child,
Right.
How does that make sense? But, again, I guess we're really discussing something that is above our pay grade because that's God's job.
Certainly
right?
is. And when we see him, right now, Paul says right now we see dimly like through a glass. They used to have like metal for mirrors. You ever try and look at metal for a mirror? Not the real nice mirrors.
Right.
It says, we see dimly. I can kind of make out my beard.
Yeah.
But he says, but then we will see him as he is, because we're going to see him face to face. So we'll understand fully what everything Jesus understands. And that's amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing. And, there's so much I don't understand that, it's encouraging to me to know that I will someday. It really is. Now, when we get into the second half of the show, we're really going to hit on this Israel prepares for war with Hezbollah, because it's coming, and it's coming very, very soon, and I can basically prove it with the reports that I've got in my hand here. So hang in there with us for the second half, because you're going to want to know this. And again, it's something that the mainstream media is not going to tell you about. And David, I even have a surprise for you in the second half of the show, because this is something that David has talked about for months, and we've never really gone into it in detail, and that's UFOs. And I got a report today out of Israel about UFOs and the temple. And I'm not talking about the third temple. Okay. So anyway, hang in there with us. We'll be back after a very short break with the second half of Last Christian.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. WikiLeaks says its founder Julian Assange has struck a plea deal with the US and has left the UK. US court documents show Mr. Assange is accepting a guilty verdict for violating America's espionage law. He won't face a further prison sentence after receiving credit for time already served. Assange was released from Belmarsh Prison in London and is en route eventually to Australia. Julian Assange's wife Stella released a video marking the release.
This period of our lives, I'm confident now, has come to an end. Things are moving very quickly, but if everything goes well, Julian will be on a plane on the way to freedom.
Ukraine and Moldova are beginning EU accession negotiations. It's a highly symbolic step on their path to joining the European Union, but it could take years to complete, as William Denzelo reports from Brussels.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen says the negotiations are beginning with strong spirit, based on openness, engagement and commitment. Tuesday's events are largely symbolic, but the EU will provide both Ukraine and Moldova with the negotiating framework needed to eventually join the bloc. Both ex-Soviet nations applied to join the EU shortly after Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine back in 2022. But these accession talks won't guarantee membership. Several Balkan states and Turkey have seen their bids stall in recent years. William Denzelo, Brussels.
Russian President Vladimir Putin says ties with North Korea have risen to unprecedentedly high levels following his one-day visit there last week. He's thanked the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un for his heartfelt hospitality during the trip, which resulted in a new security pact between the two countries. China's lunar probe has landed after a 2-month mission to retrieve samples from the moon's unexplored far side. Scientists are hoping to find clues about how planets are formed. Paris 2024 organisers are still unable to confirm if the river in the centre of the French capital will be safe for athletes competing in the Olympics. The Seine is due to host open water swimming, but pollution levels remain high. France has spent $1.5 billion on facilities to try and clean up the river. From Paris, Ross Cullen.
The aquatic leg of the triathlon and the long-distance swimming are both set to take place in the River Seine in Paris, but pollution levels in the water remain too high for safe competition. The current is also flowing too quickly right now for the Olympic events to take place in the water as planned. The Games are now under a month away, and the mayor of Paris also promised to take a dip in the Seine to show it is safe to swim in, but she had to postpone that due to high levels of E. coli in the water. Ross Cullen, Paris.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
And welcome back to the second half of Last Christian. Again, my name is J.D. Williams, and that's Mr. David Paxton in New York. And I'm still tongue-tied, David, but I'm doing my best. Okay.
Don't tell me that's okay. I'm resting here in my spongy world.
Well, now, Hezbollah is going to attack Israel. There's not any doubt about it anymore. I've got reports on it right here. But I've been saying for a long time that the United States is going to pick the wrong team. And I believe that we're beginning to see that happening more and more. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel has come out and said in public what he's been telling Biden in private, and that is, hey, what's up with delaying our arms coming in? How come you're not giving us the weaponry that we need to fight our enemy when we happen to be your best friend in the Middle East and the only friend in the Middle East that you can really count on? So what are your initial thoughts on that? And then I'm going to give you another, I'm going to go into exactly what the United States is doing now.
Okay, that'll be fun. But here we go. It's corroborating evidence. We're seeing the end of the age, and all nations will abandon Israel, and all of their friends, because he says, "Oh, you're coming for a spoil." Yeah, we know the whole story. We've been talking about it. Now we're seeing it actually come to pass. So that's what we say every time we get on here. The birth pains are increasing a little bit more, a little bit more, and a little bit more.
Yeah.
Once we're out, I mean, who else do they have? They really don't. So now it's got to be a point where God takes over, and they're going to find some reason not to talk about God taking over, but that's the deal. So all of this leads up, I want to make this real clear, all of this leads up to, we know in the millennial kingdom, the 1,000-year reign of Christ, it will be one king over the whole planet.
Amen.
And we know that Satan is the pseudo-Christ. We say the Antichrist, but he's a pseudo-Christ. He comes and pretends he's Christ.
Right.
So he's going to come and try and make it look like he's the one that's going to take over the world.
Right.
So he needs this one world government. He needs to make it look like he's the best guy ever. For the first 3.5 years, he's going to look like gold. Look, I fixed it. This happened. All the worlds were fighting. Everyone was fighting, and now we got people from outer space are trying to get us. And I'm going to bring the whole world together and be that leader. I'm your savior.
Yeah.
He's the pseudo Christ, and we're going to see all of these things. And here we are. And this is the start of it.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And one thing that went through my mind real quick, I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget it, is the fact that when the United States, if the United States was to change teams, as I've been saying that they will, and that they oppose Israel, who does Israel turn to then as a friend, as somebody that would be supportive of them? There's nobody in the Middle East, right?
Nope. It's going to be that one guy.
Nobody.
The whole world's going to come under and say, "Look, he made peace with everybody."
Nobody in Europe. Nobody in Asia. Nobody down in Australia. Nothing. I mean, they got nobody else but us.
Oi.
And
that's right.
If the United States of America was to say, "We're done," then I think that the rest of the world would take that as, "Oh, now we can take them out." I don't see it any other way. And
so here's what we see in Revelation too. When he starts to open the seals, right? What's the first color horse?
Oh, you would ask me something like that.
Yeah. We know it.
Well, I got a 1 in 4 chance of being right, so I'm going to go with the white horse.
Amen. Okay, it's the white horse. Why?
Nailed it.
Because he's the pseudo-Christ, and he's coming and pretending he is Jesus Christ himself. But he's in bad company because the rest of them are pretty horrible.
Yeah,
so
that's for sure.
It's not really Christ. Some people say, "Oh, that's Jesus coming." No. The white horse Jesus comes in on is at the end, and it's got blood stains on it from destroying his enemies. This guy comes in, and what is he carrying?
Hold on a second. I'm thinking because I know the answer to this. Oh yeah, a bow. A bow.
Okay.
Yeah.
It says bow, and everyone interprets that as, oh, he's got a bow but no arrows. But it says he's conquering and to conquer. And when I read that in the original language, it's taxon, and the reason he has no arrows, it's because it's not like a bow and arrow that we're talking about. The first time that word is used, if it's the Greek word taxon. If you look in the Septuagint, it's the rainbow. Which is God's promise. So here he is. He's coming as the Messiah. He's faking the Messiah, and he comes in with this promise of bringing peace. All right, and that's the picture that it's saying. And I don't think there's 1 in 100 teachers that actually recognize that. He's actually bringing a false promise. And then that's why everyone's going to love him, and the whole world is going to love him, and they're going to put him up there. And okay, he's brought all the countries together. We don't have all this war that we were having anymore. And for 3.5 years, he's going to do that. And then all of a sudden, in the middle of it, he's going to say, okay, now this is what we're going to do.
Yeah,
and then Israel's going to realize, wait a minute, this ain't the guy we wanted.
Right. Okay.
But he's the false Messiah coming over with a false promise, which is that rainbow.
Okay, listen to this one, David. It's out of the Jerusalem Post. The Joint Chief of Staff Chairman is the United States of America. He made this statement. He is a U.S. Air Force general, and he said that Iran would be more inclined to support Hezbollah. And he says while the Islamic Republic supports Hamas, General Brown said that Tehran would stand more firmly behind Hezbollah, particularly if they felt that Hezbollah was being significantly threatened. Brown also said that any Israeli military offensive into Lebanon could risk triggering a broader war, putting U.S. forces in danger. And he said that the United States has continued to warn Israel about going to war with Lebanon. And finally, he said that the U.S. will likely be unable to assist Israel in a war with Hezbollah. So, in other words, the United States just told Hezbollah, go ahead. We're not going to help Israel. They're on their own. Is that not what he just said?
Yeah, but they didn't come out and say, hey, we're not going to help you. They go, oh, we might not be able to. You know, it's like the girl that doesn't want to date you. She goes, oh, well, I have to polish my toenails that day. You know? She's making an excuse, and this is their excuse. So we may not be able to help. Of course we can help them.
Of course we could if we wanted to. Sure. Now, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told the Israeli press Sunday night that Israel's open to all diplomatic resolution to the Hezbollah threat, but he stressed it must be on our terms. And he also said, we will do what is necessary. I can assure the citizens of Israel that if we are required to take on this challenge, we will do it. We can fight on several fronts, and we're also prepared to do it. So he's saying, I don't care if the United States helps us or not, we're still going to kick their butt. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's 100%. And it will get to a point, though, where it is overwhelming for them, and that's when you see the hand of the Lord, because he says, for my name's sake, I'm going to do it. You know, we went over that ad infinitum.
Yeah.
And it will be undoubtable that it was God that came in and rescued them. you think the 6-Day War was good, or the 1967 one where they got them. They destroyed all their planes when they were getting lunch. You think that was good? Wait till you see what the Lord does in Israel this time.
Yeah. Well, there's a part 2 to this, which is that the defense minister, Gallant, met with the U.S. envoy on Lebanon to discuss what actions are required in order to reach a situation which allows the northern residents to return to their homes. Remember, I told you about that in the first half, where the Israel basically gave up that territory. And it said, although Gallant said he emphasized Israel's commitment to a change in the security situation in the border region with Hezbollah, their talks occurred across the backdrop of U.S. Chairman Joint Chiefs of Staff Brown saying it's unlikely that America could provide the kind of security umbrella to Israel in the event of a war with Hezbollah. So, again, they're just showing that they're backing off, is the way I look at it. And that's the closest thing we've hit so far to choosing the wrong team. Now then, listen to this one. This is from the Israeli National News.
Fun.
And this guy, his name is Roy Levy. Levy? I don't know how you say it. Levi. Okay. Anyway, he's the mayor.
They pronounce it all sorts of different ways here.
Yeah, he's the mayor of Nesher, which is a town near Haifa. How do you say that? Israel, Haifa?
It could be Haifa.
Yeah, he's the mayor there, and the deputy chairman of the Federation of Local Authorities, and he spoke on the radio about the possibility of long power outages if a major war broke out with Lebanon. Okay? Now, here's what he said, I'm quoting him here. I think the problem stems from the fact that everyone throws different information in the air and no one talks with the citizens and tells them what's happening. I remind you of the story of the blackout scenario that was hidden from the local authorities as well until I broke it to the media. From the moment they began to speak about it, each one pulled it in a different direction according to their interests. He goes on to say here, in all the scenarios that simulate, the talk is of a minimum of 72 hours without power. And I tell people to prepare for more than that, since if there are 72 without power or even just 24, it's better to be ready when there are no medicines or way to warm up for babies, and you have no way to use the basic necessary facilities. If the cell tower's power is restored, it doesn't help if the phone's battery is dead. Okay. Now then, he also goes on to say this. We hear that they are preparing for a bad scenario of at least 4,000 missiles a day in our area. Therefore, all these stories that the power grid won't be hit or that it will be repaired immediately, I don't see people going to repair anything with a 4,000 missiles a day attack. We need to prepare for at least 72 hours, maybe even more. I say plan for a week. I'm sure that by the end of the week, there won't be a remnant of Lebanon left, and they will beg for a ceasefire. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but Damascus is in what country?
It's in Turkey, isn't it?
Damascus is in Syria. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I got to brush up on that. Let me find it.
Hezbollah is in Lebanon, but Lebanon and Syria are like right there. And I'm thinking, this is me now only, I'm thinking that if Hezbollah starts
Syria
popping Israel's going to take out the threat of Damascus real quick. And we're looking at Isaiah 17:1. Personal perspective there. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I think that they're probably going to have all their headquarters there, which would warrant destruction.
Right.
Because that's what they do. Because I think, it was kind of messed up a little while ago, wasn't it? And then a lot of people moved out, so that would be perfect to use all the empty buildings and everything for other war efforts.
Right.
That would be an ideal time to, gather them all together, since they're hiding in those abandoned buildings. That's my thought.
I am more than certain, especially after the United States just said that we're not going to be able to help you.
Mm-hmm.
I think they green-lighted Hezbollah. And I think that Prime Minister Netanyahu knows that too, and that's the reason that he's pretty clear on it. We're going to do what we're going to do. I think he's prepared for it completely. Now, David, I told you I had a surprise for you.
Ooh, I like surprises.
Okay. This is, again, from the Jerusalem Post. And so, this guy's an Israeli. Let me see. Trying to get his name here. Uri Geller. Geller, I guess. His first name is spelled Uri, second, and then his last name is Geller. For those of you that want to look him up in the Jerusalem Post. Here's the headline from the Jerusalem Post. This is the headline. Aliens built the Jerusalem temple, and they may help Israel during war.
There you go.
That's just the headline, David. Just the headline. Yep. Okay? So before I read any more of this, I know you've been talking about aliens being involved in this situation. And if I remember correctly, you're not talking about aliens coming in now or, all this kind of crap. But instead, once we're raptured, they got to tell somebody something. They got to tell the world something about all these people, right? Am I reading you right on that? Is that not what you kind of
it's interesting that they kind of made them build a temple. I guess why not, right? If that's where the pseudo Christ is going to pretend he's from too, because if he's going to be a one world leader, he's going to have to include all the New Agers. And what are they going to do? Oh yeah, that was Jesus that came back and took all those people. Yeah, they're not going to do that. They're going to make up other stories. So the prevailing story now, and they're even saying this ahead of time. They're like, yeah, when the rapture happens, we're going to tell everybody that aliens came down, and then they took all these people to go to re-education camps, and then now we need a one world leader because now we realize there's people on other planets that are coming to get us, and we got the whole Star Wars thing going on. So that's going to be the catalyst and the mindset, and all the people that are jacked up with these shots from all over the place, they're going to believe it. But we see that all over the Bible. I mean, remember Elisha, right?
Oh yeah, sure, yeah. Taking up,
and then So remember, he's talking to Elijah, and he's like, "But how are we going to get out of here? Fear not." And then he says, "Lord, open his eyes." And then in 2 Kings, it says 6:17. It says, Elisha prayed and said, "Lord, I pray thee, open his eyes that he may see." And the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw, and behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire about Elisha. And when they came down to him, Elisha prayed unto the Lord and said, "Smite these people, I pray thee, with blindness." And he smote them with blindness according to the word of Elisha. So we see them, and they got chariots of fire. Well, what is that? That the chariot is the car of that day, right? So it's a vehicle. It's a vehicle, and it's clearly glowing in the dark. And we think fire here too, but they also called like plasma. So they call lightning fire, and that's kind of a plasma as well, a lightning strike. So it could be plasma vehicles, little lightning vehicles. There's a lot of things.
Yeah.
But there's reason to believe that. And then we go over to Ezekiel. Remember him?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So he's out here, right? And he sees his vision. And there's a big old storm. And there's a fire inside the storm. And out of the midst thereof, he says, "Look, I behold, and a whirlwind came out of the north, and a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself, and brightness was about it." I mean, Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 4, now verse 5. "And out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures. And this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man. And everyone had 4 faces, and everyone had 4 wings, and their feet were straight, and the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot, looking like aliens. And they sparkled like the color of burnished brass. So they were sparkly, too.
Wow.
Nice. And they had hands of a man under their wings on their four sides. And they four had their faces and their wings. Their wings were joined to one another, and they turned not when they went. So we have that image of UFOs kind of going like this. They don't turn, they go in whatever direction.
Right.
So these are interdimensional beings, and we would call them angels. And for the likeness of their faces, the four had the face of a man, the face of a lion on the right side, they had the face of the ox on the left side, and the face of an eagle. Now, these are all prophetic. These are clearly from the throne, because those are the four faces of Israel when they're looking around, and it represents the four Gospels,
right,
as well. Those are four different faces. So this is cool. Living creatures ran. Let me see. Wherever the Spirit went, and they turned. Here we go. They beheld the living creatures in verse 15. Now, because I'm just skipping ahead a little bit.
It's okay.
And behold, one wheel upon the earth by the living creatures was his four faces, and the appearance of the wheels and the work. Did I miss some wheels before that? I did. Anyway, check this out. And the wheels of the work was like unto the color of a beryl, and they had four had one likeness, and their appearance was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. All right, so what does that look like? Looks like a big disc, a wheel in the middle of a wheel with eyes all around it.
I forget what you call those things, gyroscope things. Yeah.
Yeah. Like or the UFO, a saucer. As for the rings, they were so high that they were dreadful. Woo. And the rings were full of eyes all around. And when they went, the wheels went by them. And the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, and wheels were lifted up. So it sounds like these are like cars. They're like spirit cars, wheel within wheel. And they're just vehicles that the guy's like sitting on, traveling around. You know, like it's the Roomba with the cat sitting on top. That's kind of the picture. And this is what they're doing, and things just going all over the place. So people are like, oh, look, it's aliens and UFOs. No, he's talking about the spiritual dimension, and when you get into the description of angels. Now, if the fallen angels were here, they probably still got their cars, and they probably can do some of the same things because they're not confined to the abyss yet.
Right.
So I would dare say that, yeah, maybe they are aliens to them, but in reality, they're not from other planets, and they're not here to help.
Yeah.
They're interdimensional beings, as we know as angels, and more likely the fallen angels than anything else.
All right, well, listen to this Geller guy, okay?
All right.
He said that the aliens built the ancient Jewish temple of Jerusalem from biblical times, and those same aliens may very well intervene on Israel's behalf in the event of a war against Hamas would get worse.
Why not?
He said, I believe Stonehenge was built by aliens, or with the help of aliens, who used advanced technology to help us. He said, I totally believe that this explanation is aliens. The site has cosmic and spiritual significance, no doubt about it, according to him. Many monuments, including Stonehenge and the pyramids, were created by extraterrestrials. That's what I believe. There are certain cosmic focal points that have some subliminal powers. And he said that he's long claimed to have knowledge of aliens and is firm in his belief that they are benevolent. He said, I wouldn't be surprised if a bigger war breaks out. Aliens might help Israel win. He said, for centuries, aliens have been trying to wake us up to our mission to save our planet and evolve as human beings. And look what's happened around the world. Do you know how many nuclear bombs we have waiting to be launched? I want to believe that extraterrestrials are waiting for us to lay down our arms and create a peaceful world. It's more important than ever to connect with these higher beings. Now, this guy is in Israel, okay? So this was in the Jerusalem Post. So you got people in Israel now that when the rapture occurs, they may think that this guy's just, the greatest thing since sliced bread. I don't know.
Yep. He's the one that figured it out. Oh,
yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he'll get real popular, right?
Yep. Yeah, among the people who don't want to believe. Now, I even remember today, people could look at a one-celled organism that is more complicated than building an entire city and say, oh, it happened by accident. If they can believe that crap, they can believe this guy that says, oh, yeah, well, it's aliens came down and seeded us and they're going to help. Because that's what God said. He'll give them over to the great delusion. And that's precisely what it is. Because what are they going to do? Hey, by the way, we're the fallen angels. Remember the ones that kind of did that? Yeah, you should follow us. They're going to be like, no. They have to present themselves as superior, as coming to help, as blah, 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 blah. The Vatican's doing the same thing. They're like, oh, if they're from space, they don't have any sin, and we should listen to them. So if they tell us our doctrine is wrong, we got to listen to them. There goes the poop.
Yeah. Well, you've been talking about this UFO thing as a possibility for what people are going to blame with the rapture. So I thought, that was kind of timely coming out.
They're setting people up for it now. So now he's setting up Israel, and then by proxy, the rest of the world's going to, get here. Oh, here's the leader, and he's telling us it must have been aliens that came down and helped us build it, and they're going to give us greater wisdom, and that's what the Mahdi, we talked about the Mahdi, the Muslim savior, that's what he looks like. He looks like, he's just this thing from elsewhere that's going to give him all his wisdom, and they got to listen to him, except he comes out of a cave.
Well, I'm beginning to buy into this UFO thing as a possibility. I never believed in UFOs growing up. Never did. Never bought it. Always said, well, if it happened, how come nobody can capture it on film? But it very well. This could very well be the excuse or whatever that people might want to use. Now,
you should really check out. Hang on, L.A. Marzulli. Marzulli, LAMarzulli.com or .net. But L.A. Marzulli does very, very, very good documentation on these aliens and who they really are. You should check it out.
Definitely do that. Now, I said, what it means to Israel and why should we care? Well, what it means to Israel is they're going to be fighting on their own, okay? And why we should care is because if we do not care, we're going to end up in hell. You've got to accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. He is the way, the truth, and the life, and no one gets to the Father except through Him. Okay? So keep that in mind. And just to give you a little tease here, the next show is Mr. Paxton's show. It is a comprehensive Bible study that we do midweek, every week. David, I don't know if you've got a title for it yet or not, but anyway, I'll let you give the last minute and so for that.
No, I don't have a title for you. I know where I'm going, but I'm not going to tell you. You're going to have to tune in.
It's going to be a surprise. Okay.
Yeah, and the titles always come when it's like, well, that sounds really silly. Let's use that one. So it's going to be good. Also, our Thursday night, we have our discipleship study, and that's where we're all interactive and get into that. You can email me, thehiddenday@protonmail.com, and we'll get you over a link to join our Thursday night interactive discipleship study. But more important is, the birth pains are ramping up, folks, like every single day. Right. So we see more lies, we see more destruction. They're trying to bring it on because they know their time is short. The devil knows his time is short, so everything's ramping up. There will be that 1 second, and then from one to the next, we will be with Jesus. You don't want to miss it. So, Lord willing, we will see you next time on The Last Christian, and it will be our Bible study program. Looking forward to seeing you there. You guys have a blessed day. And that's all we have.
Thanks again for joining us today for The Last Christian Radio Show. And be sure to tune in every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday right here and at www.lastchristian.net. Until the trumpet sounds.
Some people won't give you the real talk on drugs, but it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is killing people. It's a powerful opioid, often made illegally and commonly mixed with illicit drugs. It can even be pressed into counterfeit pills that resemble prescription medications. Just 2 milligrams, about the size of a few grains of sand, can potentially be lethal. This isn't an ad to scare you, but it is an ad to make you think twice. Get the facts. Go to realdealonfentanyl.com. This message is brought to you by the Ad Council.